Hey, hello, sacred friend. Welcome back. I am Lori Andrus, and today we are going to sink into a little bit of a transitional conversation. Ah, as you've probably noticed, I have been on a podcasting break or hiatus for the past several months. I took a summer slowdown. I did pop up a couple episodes that highlighted the stone of the month, sharing the message from the Stone Speak Oracle, so you could just sink into that. But beyond that, I've been really quiet, and I took summer break in the forest as I do every year, and really enjoyed some quiet time there. You know, it's interesting to take that pause and to create a space to listen and allow messages to emerge, to reconnect with our soul and our inner wisdom. And for me, the goal of podcasting has always been to create a space for you to sink in, to listen to your own voice of inner wisdom, to hear your guidance and messages, and reconnect with the wisdom that is always there within you. And part of the vision and the intention for the Meet Me in Sacred Space podcast has really been around that. But I know that with my work, it evolves in different cycles. And this podcast has been feeling ready for an evolution for some time. And I noticed that when it's difficult for me to keep showing up, my own resistance, stepping in and kind of interfering is helping me to have an awareness that, hey, it's time for a shift or a change. And sometimes I'm a little more willing to lean into that than others. And this last pause that has been asked was a little challenging for me because I love podcasting. I love creating this space to connect with you and just sharing what wants to come forward. So taking the summer off was very helpful, and it allowed just a nice breathing space for what the podcast wants to evolve, or how the podcast wants to evolve, what new name wants to emerge, because that's really a big part of what was showing up. I could feel that the name was ready to shift, but the new name wasn't presenting itself. And every time I sank into it, there was a lot of pushing sort of energy or reaching sort of energy. And that never really works when we want to land something new, to welcome in a new vision. We need to be in a space of allowing it to reveal itself, to open the container of space, absolutely, to be active and participating in that, but then to create a soft space for that new vision to land. And this is something I've seen over the years in every creation, every project, every evolution, every incarnation of my work, which is, something that happens over time. Things evolve, but when I give myself the space for it to just emerge and come in softly and gently, that is when when there's magic. And that is exactly what needed to happen with this. So summer slowdown came at a perfect time. I gave myself space and permission to be in that space and to allow a new name for this podcast to emerge. Now, if you pulled this up, you probably already spotted the new name because I changed the cover art and I changed the name officially in all the places. So you've probably already seen it. But we are shifting from Meet Me in Sacred Space to the Luminary Life podcast. I want to invite you to just let that phrase land within you. Luminary life. Yeah. As I was sinking in, I just kept being drawn to the energy of light, the energy of the brightness of our own light and the ways that wants to show up and be present in the world right now. And the many, many ways and reasons why it is so important that we take whatever journey it is we need to take to connect with our light and allow it to shine brilliantly in this world. Now, if you've been hanging out in my world for a bit, you know that I always end each podcast with the phrase shine brightly. And I have been doing this for well over a decade. I've been podcasting for over a decade. Can you believe that? How beautiful. And so it's a phrase that has always been there. And I felt like that energy wanted to really have its next level of expression. And its next level was really recognizing our luminescence and the ways that we are bright and brilliant, and creating pathways and opportunities for that to emerge. So now that I've shared the new podcast name, I want to actually just lean into a little bit of a conversation around what that actually means. What does it mean to live a luminary life? Now, I've got a whole bunch of notes here, so I'm going to kind of go back and forth between the notes and our conversation. But let's just dive in and let yourself just get comfy and just let it just wash in, and what lands for you, let yourself receive it. And what isn't aligned for you, just let that flow on as well. So the first thing that came forward was around reclaiming our light. Yeah, reclaiming our light. I feel like these past several years have really been a heavy, energetic period of time. So much has been unfolding and happening really, really fast. The pace of what is unfolding in the world feels like it's moving at such a great momentum, or with such great momentum. And the way that we can disrupt that momentum that maybe doesn't feel in alignment for us is to come back into ourselves and to reclaim the light that we are. And so I want to invite you to begin to just have some awareness around your own light and how that wants to be present in your life and in the world, how it wants to be expressed through you. Now, I know that a lot of you are probably, when you hear conversation around reclaiming our light and reclaiming, who we are, there's kind of this rose-colored glasses sort of idea of what it means to align with our light, to live our fate, our destined path, to say yes to our inner calling. And there's kind of the rose-colored glass perception of this is that everything is going to just magically be amazing all the time. And I want to really be loving and gentle and remind you that no, it absolutely doesn't. We are humans living life, and being in alignment with our being in alignment is not always easy. We make mistakes. We have struggles. Challenges arise. We move through things, and that is part of our opportunity for reclaiming our light, for rediscovering and remembering the very core of who we are, and letting ourselves just move through those experiences. We do not need to have it all figured out. We do not need to have that sense of we've got everything put together. It's not about being perfect or put together. It's about remembering the very core of who we are and doing our very best to express that in our lives, and rolling with those challenges and giving ourselves a little giggle at those times where things get bumpy, where our best self maybe doesn't show up because we're in a bumpy ride. All right. The next piece about living a luminous life is about living in rhythm with the earth. Big exhale. I think this is one of the things that I am so passionate about, deeply, deeply passionate about. And it's something where I invest a lot of personal time, getting out in nature, spending time with my feet upon the earth, feeling the natural rhythms, letting myself just simply reset. And I feel like part of living our luminary light and allowing the container that our body is to allow light to emerge through it is it requires us to slow down and really feel and be part of the natural rhythms, to get to know the moon cycles, the seasonal cycles, those rhythms of ebb and flow that are natural, and begin to bridge not just the knowing of those seasonal cycles and moon cycles, but bridging that with how we live and experience our day-to-day life. Over the years, I've come to know that when it's time to, when I'm attuned to the seasons, I'm clear on when to slow down and when to speed up, when to give myself space to pause, and when to push a little bit harder to move into a creative process and a creation and bringing something into life. You may notice that I talked about earlier in this episode how giving myself that summer slowdown is what created the space for the new vision of what this podcast wants to be or how it wants to evolve. It created space for that and allowed me to build like an internal momentum while there was also space for the vision to land, for the vision to take form and have it prepare itself for being brought into the world. This is such an interesting energy, being able to just give ourselves space to slow down. And part of that is over the years, I've come to know that my summer, the summer season for me is one that requires a slowdown. And fall is like when we move into a natural harvest, it's a time when my energy wants to move forward. It wants to burst forward in a creative, giving life sort of energy. So getting to know our own cycles and how we experience them, I think this is one of the key ways that we begin to live in harmony with the rhythm of the earth, and we begin to recognize how and when and where to how to work with our own light, how to give it space to slow down while also allowing it space to be fully expressed. And the thing here is that each of us have very different needs, a very different energy behind our cycles. And when we have a creative gusts and momentum and need for breaks and pauses, that looks very different for each of us. As we come to know the ways that we relate to the rhythm of the earth, we begin to find ease in our unique rhythm. Rather than looking out into the world and feeling like we need to meet the expectations or the benchmarks, and most of this is perceived, the perceived benchmarks, the perceived expectations of the outside world to produce and create and live in a particular way. I feel like all the changes that are unfolding in the world right now, one of the big things that's at the very core here is a call back to self. And that call back to self is inviting us to get completely clear on what is and is not in alignment, what is and is not our personal truth, what is and is not calling us forward, what our gifts are, and how we can most powerfully share them in the world. And as we listen to that, as we give ourselves space to slow down, we need to listen to ourselves about how our gifts are being brought into the world. There isn't a pathway that's been created. This is a time for us to blaze new trails, to step forward, trusting ourselves. And this takes a whole lot of courage and it takes a whole lot of light. And as we step into our own luminary life, we are claiming our light, claiming the gifts and the magic that we have to share. We're claiming the wisdom that we walk with. And we're claiming the ways that we are in harmony with all of life. All right, so the next piece that I have on here is about walking with clarity and integrity. Yeah, such a big one. Walking with clarity, walking with integrity, acting from your soul, acting with clarity, aligning with your choices and values, even when it's uncomfortable. And when the whole world outside of us is telling us something completely different, when there isn't a path that's already been mapped forward, those are the most challenging times to act with clarity and integrity to ourselves. And this is one of the skills that I think we're being called to cultivate in the coming years. The next is about creatively expressing our soul wisdom. Yeah. We are being called into a time of creative expression and letting that expression reflect the wisdom of our soul, the deep knowing and the unique wisdom we carry, the ways that we walk. And so this is about slowing down, tapping in, getting to know the ways our soul wants to bring things out. That can be so many different ways. I know a lot of times when people hear the word creativity, their mind immediately goes to art or artistic expression, but creativity lives in everything you do. It lives in the way you create a meal. It lives in the way you organize your office. It lives in the way you set up your day. You have moments within every second, within every breath, to enhance it with creativity. And part of that is how you are creating your life. Does it match what's within you? Is it in alignment? Does it allow your light to burst forth and forward in the world? Does it allow your light to expand? Yeah. Okay, the fifth thing is about being a beacon for others. I know for some of you, you might be like, I don't know if I want to be a leader for others or be a beacon of light for others. But I know for many of you that feels really natural too. Honor whatever comes forward for you and know that your beacon of light in the world can be light within nature. It can be light within your work, light within your creative process and flow, light that in some way or another touches the world in ways that are so natural for you, yet light the world up. I think that piece of so natural for you is really key. Because very often we dismiss what is natural for us and think we need to be doing something else. And we have a whole list of shoulds and why it's not enough. But what is natural for you? What allows you to live in complete alignment and integrity? What invites you to rise in your wisdom and knowing? That is what the world needs. And that is enough. All right, the next piece is about embracing both the light and the shadow and allowing yourself to be at that place in between where you don't have to choose, to recognize that both exist and both exist within ourselves. And allowing ourselves to have love and compassion and reverence and really be present with it. Luminaries do not deny their shadow. They find peace with it. They embrace it. And they understand that that's part of what brings their depth and compassion and wisdom. And they come into a healthy relationship with it. In the Peruvian traditions, they call this Aini, right relationship. You come into right relationship with all aspects of yourself, all aspects of life, accepting, receiving, honoring all of you. Yeah. As we move through this podcast in the coming weeks and months, we're going to sink into a lot of different aspects of how you can cultivate and nurture and bring forth your light into the world. And we're going to look at things like ceremony, ritual, sacred practice. We'll work with crystals and stones and little rituals with them. We'll tap into some of the collective storylines and energies that are showing up. And we're going to create space to just simply listen within, to be present with self. It is time for us to see a bigger picture of possibility, to tap into possibility and let ourselves open that space, not only within ourselves, but our vision for the world. We're in a key evolutionary time. And in this time, what we can best do, the way we can most serve this, is to begin with allowing our light to emerge and to expand and to be shared and seen, and to hold vision. To allow vision to be held with love and curiosity and a sense of possibility and wonder and awe. And as we do that, that is how we bring forward a new earth. And I'm so excited to do that with each of you as we walk this path together, as we sink into discovering what it means from challenge to opportunity to beauty and awe and wonder on the Luminary path. I'm so excited to be living a Luminary life with you. Have a beautiful day, my sacred friend, and as always, shine brightly. Bye for now.